Hello and welcome to Hope Ready. I'm your host, Dr. Ellen Awad. During this time of pandemic, it is on all of us to practice our own safeguards to keep us well and safeguards for our greater community. On today's episode, we are learning more about what Hope is doing for wastewater testing. And our guest today is Dr. Aaron Best, who's the chair of the biology department and a microbiologist. So, Aaron, can you tell us what should we know in general about wastewater testing?
Sure. Thanks for having me. We're taking an approach of looking at wastewater as a way of understanding how the virus is impacting campus at any one time during the semester. And so wastewater surveillance has been used in the past, really for many years, to monitor other types of diseases. So an example might be polio. And in monitoring wastewater for the levels of poliovirus, you can understand, for vaccination campaigns, I should go to this area and make sure that I'm targeting this area for those kinds of things. And communities monitor wastewater all the time for other chemicals and pollutants and other types of things to look at whether businesses are meeting compliance and regulations and those kinds of things. So it's been used quite a bit for policy decision making, and it's being adapted around the world right now to look for COVID-19 or the virus that causes COVID-19 in wastewater.
This is fascinating. So can you tell us a little bit more about how wastewater testing actually works?
Yeah, so the way that it works is that you would take a wastewater sample, which is basically a sewage sample from the sewer. You'd go get it, you'd take it back to the lab, and you would process that sample to extract the genetic material that exists in there. And that's your DNA and other organisms' DNA and stuff like that. But the virus's DNA is there as well, so SARS-CoV-2. And if you can isolate that RNA from there, then you can test that in the exact same way that we would test you or me for that. So the difference really is that instead of taking a nasal swab sample or a saliva sample, maybe like the testing that we've done here on campus already, you're taking a sewage sample. You're extracting the RNA from it, and then you're examining that RNA for the presence of SARS-CoV-2.
This is just a very specific question, but who is actually extracting it? To me, a non-science person is like, wow, how does this actually work? Who's getting those samples?
Yeah, so we've hired two people to help us
Okay.
do the sample processing, and it turns out that they're both Hope graduates from last year who have pretty good experience in both field work as well as laboratory-based work. So we're utilizing them, and they will be doing that on a daily basis to produce RNA from samples so that we can do the tests that night.
Yeah,
yeah,
that is amazing. And so maybe one more specific question related. Is this happening at all the different residence halls? Is it happening in academic buildings? Like where on campus is it being tested?
Right. So our strategy is to be able to understand how much virus is in the wastewater at any one time. So to do that, you need to have sort of a high frequency of sampling. So we're aiming for a daily frequency of sampling. We have broken the campus down into 8 zones. And each of those zones really represents a different suite of residential housing. And about 200 or so students are represented in each of those zones. And so by taking a single sample every day from each of those zones, we can understand how much virus is present at that time from those 200 or so people.
Right.
Or students. And so by taking that and monitoring that over time, we should be able to understand, well, what does the level of virus look like now? And then what does it do if it's starting to go up or down and those kinds of things.
Right.
And so by having that information, we should have real-time results from that kind of population level on campus. The outcome of that is our ability to, say, target individual-based testing. So part of the overall strategy for testing for COVID on campus is a randomized surveillance of students every day. So a certain percentage of the population of students will get tests every day. This allows us to actually sample about 1,800 students per day, rather than 30 to 90 students per day, something like that. And actually allows you to do it at a much less expensive cost per person. So if you do that, so imagine this. So we have information about a baseline of levels of COVID as we start on campus. So say we start campus with 0 viral cases at the beginning of the semester. And that's very possible, right, given that we're doing baseline testing and return testing. All right, so let's say that happens. We have information about how much virus is in the sample in each of the zones at that time. We can monitor that and see if it's going to come up. If it comes up in zone 1, but it's not coming up in zone 2, you could then target your surveillance testing of people, right, of students, into zone 1. Right? So instead of just doing 1% of zone 1, maybe you're doing 50% of zone 1, right? So that you're ensuring that you catch the cases that are there. That's the hope, and that's the intent for sort of decision-making processes at the moment.
That's awesome. So really this testing of the wastewater is going to help protect and help us to respond to our community needs more effectively, more efficiently, more rapidly, probably.
Yes, I mean, that's the hope. So this is being adapted now, right? Groups around the world are doing this kind of thing. And so the idea is that you can monitor an entire community, right? But not only just monitor for the virus in the entire community, but be able to sort of predict the number of cases that you actually have in that community. And current information suggests, and it's preliminary, but it suggests that that there's a lead time, so that the amount of virus that's present in the wastewater goes up prior to the time that you actually see cases in hospitals in a community. And so if that lead time is long enough and you trust that lead time, that the link between the level in the wastewater and the level in people, right, the number of cases that you have, if you trust that information, then you can start to make decisions about that. And so you can make decisions early enough, right, and be proactive rather than reactive in many cases. And so that's really the hope. So this is a long-term approach to this. So the idea is that we would do this semester. We would act on it in the way that I've just described earlier in the different zones. But hopefully in subsequent semesters, if we're still dealing with this pandemic over time before a vaccine comes in and those kinds of things, if we have to do that, this is a way that would allow us to have actionable information earlier than if we did individual-based testing. The other issue from a college campus standpoint that the wastewater allows us to look at is the fact that many of the cases in people aged 18 to 20, 22, 25 are going to be asymptomatic cases. So that is, you're walking around, you're shedding virus, you don't even know you have it. And that's a problem for transmission of the virus going forward. And so the wastewater allows you to actually detect those kinds of cases potentially.
Yeah. This is all super fascinating. I never thought that I would be so curious about wastewater.
I never thought that I would know as much as I do about the sewer system under Hope College as I do now.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing, for the knowledge that you are sharing with the rest of us, and for the team that's working on this. I just feel grateful to be at Hope, where we are putting our knowledge into action. And it will help us all really to be more hope ready. We need to educate ourselves, make good choices, and keep ourselves well so that we can remain on campus this semester. Thanks so much, Dr. Aaron Best. So glad that you came on this show today. Thanks.
Thanks.